She's been a pillar of the fight for women's rights and a liberal leader in the US. Now, the death of long-serving Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg is poised to trigger a significant political battle just weeks ahead of the presidential election. Even as the 87-year-old was dying from pancreatic cancer, she passed on a plea that there should be no rush to fill the vacancy in America's highest legal body. Al Jazeera's Alan Fisher looks at Ginsburg's legacy.
They started to gather on the steps of the Supreme Court in Washington as news of Ruth Bader Ginsburg's death broke. They brought flowers and candles. The numbers swelled, people marking a loss they felt personally. Ruth Bader Ginsburg was physically small, but her presence loomed large on the court. She was a blunt-talking liberal who often challenged her conservative colleagues on the bench. Born to Jewish immigrants in Brooklyn, New York in 1933, Ginsburg was a brilliant student. She was one of only 9 women to enroll in Harvard University Law School in 1956, later transferring to Columbia University, where she graduated at the top of her class. But as Ginsburg told one television interviewer, no law firms wanted to hire a married mother.
I had 3 strikes against me. 1, I was Jewish. 2, I was a woman. But the killer was I was the mother of a 4-year-old child.
But as the 60s and 70s launched the women's movement, Ginsburg found a place in academia. Then, as co-founder of a women's rights project for the American Civil Liberties Union, she wrote the first Supreme Court brief on gender discrimination. After 12 years as an appeals court judge in Washington, D.C., President Bill Clinton appointed Ginsburg to the U.S. Supreme Court in 1993. Ginsburg proved to be a consistent liberal voice on the increasingly conservative High Court. She supported abortion rights and gender equality. She also advocated using international laws to shape US laws. The outspoken Ginsburg fought several battles with cancer. Her dying wish was the vacancy her passing creates will not be filled until after the election. Outside the court, one Trump supporter with a megaphone urged the president to move quickly. He was drowned out by the chants of others. The president has already unveiled a list of people he wants to put on the court if he wins a second term, but leaving a rally, he only praised Justice Ginsburg.
She led an amazing life. What else can you say? She was an amazing woman. Whether you agreed or not, she was an amazing woman who led an amazing life. I'm actually sad to hear that. I am sad to hear that.
In 2016, Justice Antonin Scalia, a Republican choice, passed before the presidential election. The Senate refused to confirm a Democrat successor named by President Obama. Democratic candidate this time round, Joe Biden, says there must be no decision until the election has passed.
Voters should pick the president, and the president should pick the justice for the Senate to consider. This was the position of the Republican Senate took in 2016 when there were almost 10 months to go before the election. That's the position the United States Senate must take today.
The Republican leader in the Senate, Mitch McConnell, says he will press ahead with nomination hearings if given a name by Donald Trump. That is almost certainly going to happen. Now, he might not be able to get confirmation hearings done by the election in November, but could possibly push them through by the inauguration in January. And if Joe Biden wins the election, that could create a constitutional crisis here in the United States. Ginsburg strived to maintain strong liberal voices on the Supreme Court to balance the conservative ones. Now her own voice has been silenced, that balance under threat. Alan Fisher, Al Jazeera, outside the US Supreme Court.
Tributes are coming in across the political divide. Chief Justice John Roberts announced Ginsburg's death. In a statement, he said that the US has lost a justice of historic stature and that the Supreme Court judges have lost a cherished colleague. He went on to say that he's confident future generations will remember Ginsburg as a tireless and resolute champion of justice. Former US Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, whose husband appointed Ginsburg to the Supreme Court, praised her work and said that there will never be another like her. Well, former US President George W. Bush honored the 87-year-old, saying that she dedicated much of her life to the pursuit of justice and equality, and she inspired generations of women and girls. Well, the makeup of the Supreme Court could now take a sharp turn to the political right. That's because President Trump will likely try to put a conservative successor in place, even if he doesn't win November's election. The court is made up of 9 members and up to now has been split 5-4 in the Conservatives' favour. Chief Justice John Roberts was appointed by a Republican president, but recently has acted as a swing vote. This year, that's helped to secure narrow victories for the Liberals on issues such as immigration and abortion rights. Appointing another Conservative would tip the balance further right ahead of upcoming cases on same-sex adoptions and healthcare. President Trump has already named around 40 candidates to fill a Supreme Court vacancy. Scott Lucas is co-founder of America Unfiltered, a news analysis site focusing on US politics and foreign policy. He joins us now from Birmingham in the UK. Scott, your thoughts on the death of Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg and what it means for the Supreme Court and for the country?
Well, first and foremost, that tribute to Ruth Bader Ginsburg's legacy, that legacy of upholding and defending rights and justice as an attorney, as a judge, and then as a justice, not just on women's rights, although that should be praised, but on widely civil rights, rights in the workplace, rights in education, rights for the impoverished. The question is, what happens to that legacy? In many ways, we have seen this summer in the United States with anti-racism marches, those issues of rights and justice that she's highlighted. But what we'll see in the next few weeks is the attempt, especially by the Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, hypocritically, given that he stood 4 years ago for almost a year and blocked an appointment by Barack Obama to the court. He'll say, we want to rush this nomination through. And we know that Donald Trump will try to go for someone first and foremost, as he sees, not only as a diehard conservative, but someone that will defend him in the White House. Can they get that justice through by November the 3rd? Because it's not just the prospect of these important cases that you've highlighted on abortion, on adoption rights, on Donald Trump's attempt to gut Obamacare. If we have a disputed election with Donald Trump refusing to leave office, that case may eventually reach the Supreme Court. Now, will there be an additional conservative judge that will defend Trump, even if he refuses to accept a defeat to Joe Biden on November the 3rd?
As you say, if Mitch McConnell and the Republicans try to bulldoze a new nomination through the Senate before the election, that would be pretty hypocritical. Will that damage the Republican standing ahead of the election?
It's a gamble. To be honest with you, I don't think Mitch McConnell cares. Mitch McConnell doesn't believe in consistency. I think he's gambling that there will be enough of an appeal to red meat Republicans, that this can galvanize them to go to the polls on November 3rd, not just for the White House, but in that battle to reelect senators, because right now Republican control is on a knife edge. But you're quite right. It could backfire in 2 ways. One is it could alienate swing voters who see the hypocrisy, who have not yet decided if they want to vote for Donald Trump or Joe Biden or Democrat or Republican in the Senate. But secondly, and specifically, there are several Republican senators who are facing very difficult reelection battles. Susan Collins of Maine, for example, is one. You're looking at Lindsey Graham of South Carolina, who's the chair of the Senate Judiciary Committee. Now, will they support McConnell's effort to get a justice through by November the 3rd, or given the effect on their personal chances, will they hold back and thus prevent McConnell's political gain at trying to get the hearings and confirmation within the next 6 weeks?
And what about President Trump's nominees for any vacancy on the Supreme Court? He's already approved a number of candidates. Just how conservative are they? What difference would another conservative judge on the Supreme Court make to its behavior?
They're conservative, very, very conservative, and really, really conservative. There's a couple of headline names there, like Senator Ted Cruz, Senator Tom Cotton. I don't think that's what you're going to get. You're going to get a judge from the lower ranks of the federal system. And it's not a guarantee. It's not a guarantee that a Trump appointee will always be conservative. We've seen his first conservative, Neil Gorsuch, vote with the moderates on certain issues. But I think on this occasion, Donald Trump will go for someone who's a real fire breather, someone who will go in and try to shred, for example, healthcare rights that are in Obamacare, that will try to possibly shred economic rights, environmental protections, and possibly go for a Supreme Court justice. And this will be a big election issue, who will try to help overturn Roe versus Wade, which was the key decision almost 50 years ago that guaranteed abortion rights for women.
Always good to talk to you, Scott. Many thanks indeed. Professor Scott Lucas there in Birmingham.
Thank you.